In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers reached for the clouds and dreams were built on steel beams, there lived a man named Marcus Reed. Marcus wasn't just any construction worker. He wore his hard hat with pride, but beneath it lay a mind that could travel across continents through language. On the other side of town stood Jonathan Hayes, a millionaire CEO whose empire spanned industries, yet he often felt something missing in his life, a deeper connection to humanity. Jonathan's days were filled with meetings, phone calls, and strategic decisions. He had everything money could buy: a luxurious penthouse overlooking the skyline, a fleet of expensive cars, and a team of brilliant executives working under him. But despite all this, he couldn't shake off a nagging emptiness. It was as if his success had come at the cost of real human connection. Deep down, he longed for something more meaningful than profit margins and quarterly reports. One sunny afternoon, Jonathan decided to visit one of his company's new high-rise projects under construction. Dressed in an impeccable navy blue suit, he walked through the maze of scaffolding and concrete blocks, nodding politely at workers who glanced up from their tasks. The air buzzed with activity, hammering, drilling, shouting instructions. But what caught Jonathan's attention was something unexpected. As he approached the site manager's office, he overheard voices speaking different languages. First came Spanish, then French, followed by Mandarin, all flowing seamlessly into each other like a symphony. Curious, Jonathan followed the sound until he found its source: Marcus Reed. Clad in dusty jeans and a faded t-shirt, Marcus was casually chatting with co-workers while hammering nails into place. His hands moved deftly, never missing a beat, even as he switched between languages. Mid-conversation, one moment he was joking in Portuguese with a Brazilian welder, and the next he was explaining safety protocols in Arabic to a group of engineers. Jonathan stopped in his tracks, mesmerized. He couldn't believe what he was witnessing. A construction worker fluent in multiple languages. Intrigued, he approached Marcus cautiously, struck by curiosity. "Excuse me," he said, interrupting politely. Marcus turned around, wiping sweat off his brow with the back of his hand. "Yes, sir?" he asked, his tone respectful but slightly wary. "I couldn't help but notice you're speaking multiple languages fluently." "How many do you speak?" Jonathan asked, his voice tinged with awe. Marcus smiled humbly, clearly not used to being the center of attention. "9, he replied simply. 9 languages? Jonathan's jaw dropped. This wasn't just impressive, it was extraordinary. He stared at Marcus, trying to reconcile the image of the rugged laborer before him with the multilingual genius he had just discovered. The encounter left Jonathan restless. That evening, as he sat in his penthouse overlooking the glittering skyline, he replayed their conversation in his head. What drove someone like Marcus, a man working manual labor, to master 9 languages? And why had fate brought them together at this moment? Unable to shake off these thoughts, Jonathan made a decision. The next morning, he called Marcus to his office for a private meeting. When Marcus arrived, dressed neatly despite clearly feeling out of place among the polished executives, Jonathan wasted no time. "Marcus," he began earnestly, leaning forward in his chair, "I want to offer you a position within my company, not as a construction worker but as a global liaison officer." Marcus blinked, stunned. "Sir, I'm honored, but I don't have any business experience," he admitted, his voice tinged with disbelief. Jonathan leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with conviction. "Experience can be taught, but your ability to connect with people around the world, that's priceless." Marcus hesitated, unsure whether to accept such a drastic change in his life. After all, he had spent years building walls and laying foundations, literally and figuratively. Could he really step into the corporate world and thrive? As Marcus left the office later that day, his mind raced with questions. Was this opportunity too good to pass up? Or was it a mistake to leave behind the familiar for the unknown? Meanwhile, Jonathan watched him go, already envisioning the possibilities. He knew that hiring Marcus wasn't just about filling a position, it was about breaking barriers and challenging stereotypes. If Marcus could succeed, it would prove that talent knows no boundaries. Over the following weeks, Marcus wrestled with doubt. Friends at the construction site teased him good-naturedly, calling him Mr. Executive and asking when he'd start wearing suits. Others warned him not to trust the rich folks. They'll use you and discard you, they said. But deep down, Marcus felt a spark of excitement. For years, he had dreamed of using his language skills for something greater than casual conversations. Now, thanks to Jonathan's bold move, that dream might finally become reality. Back at headquarters, rumors swirled about Jonathan's decision. Some praised him for recognizing untapped potential, while others criticized him for taking a risk on someone without formal qualifications. Yet Jonathan remained unfazed. He believed in Marcus not because of his resume, but because of the passion and determination he saw in his eyes during their conversation. Little did either man know, this decision would set off a chain reaction that would transform not only their lives but also the lives of countless others. Together, they were about to embark on a journey that would challenge societal norms, redefine success, and inspire generations to come. For now, though, Marcus returned to the construction site one last time. As he hammered away, he couldn't help but smile. The clang of metal against metal sounded like music to his ears, a reminder of how far he had come and how much farther he could go. And somewhere in the distance, Jonathan stood watching, silently, cheering him on, knowing they were standing on the brink of something truly remarkable. Marcus's first day in his new role as a global liaison officer was nothing short of nerve-wracking. Dressed in a freshly pressed suit that still felt stiff and unfamiliar, he walked into the sleek corporate office building with a mix of excitement and dread. The polished marble floors, glass walls, and hushed conversations made him feel like an outsider in a world he didn't belong to. His co-workers, impeccably dressed and armed with degrees from prestigious universities, glanced at him curiously. Some whispered behind closed doors, questioning how a construction worker could possibly handle such a high-profile position. Jonathan noticed Marcus's unease immediately. He greeted him warmly, patting him on the back and guiding him through the maze of cubicles to his new workspace. "You'll do great," Jonathan assured him with a smile. "Remember, you're here because of your unique skills, not despite them." Marcus nodded, trying to absorb the words, but doubt lingered in his mind. Could he really succeed in this environment? Would people take him seriously? The first few weeks were challenging. Marcus attended meetings where terms like synergy, quarterly projections, and market penetration flew around faster than he could process. He spent late nights reading industry reports and watching online tutorials to get up to speed. But even as he struggled to learn the ropes, his natural talent for communication began to shine through. During one particularly tense conference call with partners in Japan, Marcus stepped in when negotiations hit a snag. Switching effortlessly between Japanese and English, he clarified misunderstandings and smoothed over cultural differences, earning nods of approval from both sides. Word of Marcus's abilities spread quickly within the company. Executives who had initially doubted him started seeking his advice on international deals. Employees marveled at how easily he navigated complex discussions, bridging gaps not just linguistically but also culturally. It wasn't just about speaking multiple languages. It was about understanding nuances that others often overlooked. For example, during a meeting with French clients, Marcus subtly adjusted his tone and body language to align with their expectations, turning what could have been a contentious discussion into a productive collaboration. Still, not everyone was convinced. A senior manager named Lisa openly criticized Jonathan's decision to hire Marcus. "This is a business, not a charity," she said during a board meeting. "We can't afford to gamble on someone without proper credentials." Her words stung, but Jonathan defended his choice passionately. "Talent comes in many forms," he argued. "Marcus may not have a fancy degree, but his ability to connect with people across cultures is unmatched. That's exactly what we need to grow globally." Despite the criticism, Marcus continued to prove himself invaluable. One of his most significant achievements came when the company faced a major crisis. They were negotiating a deal with a conglomerate, based in Dubai, and tensions ran high. Misunderstandings about contract terms and cultural norms threatened to derail the entire project. Sensing the growing frustration, Marcus took charge. Speaking fluent Arabic, he explained the finer points of the agreement to the Middle Eastern team, addressing their concerns directly. Then, switching back to English, he reassured his own colleagues, helping them see things from the other side's perspective. By the end of the session, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. What had seemed impossible became achievable, all thanks to Marcus's intervention. The success of the Dubai deal earned Marcus widespread recognition within the company. Employees who had once doubted him now approached him eagerly, asking for tips on improving cross-cultural communication. Even Lisa, the skeptical manager, begrudgingly admitted that Marcus had played a crucial role in saving the project. "I underestimated you," she told him one evening after work. "You've earned my respect." As Marcus gained confidence, he also began opening up more about his background. During lunch breaks, he shared stories of growing up in a multicultural neighborhood where learning languages had been a necessity rather than a hobby. He talked about how his love for languages had grown into a lifelong passion, fueled by books, borrowed from libraries, and hours spent practicing with native speakers online. Coworkers listened intently, fascinated by his journey and inspired by his determination. Meanwhile, Jonathan watched proudly as Marcus thrived in his new role. He realized that hiring Marcus had been about more than filling a position. It was about challenging societal norms and proving that opportunity should know no boundaries. Inspired by Marcus's success, Jonathan began brainstorming ways to extend this philosophy beyond the company. He envisioned creating programs aimed at discovering hidden potential in marginalized communities. People like Marcus, whose talents might otherwise go unnoticed. One evening, Jonathan invited Marcus to dinner at his penthouse. Over plates of gourmet food, they discussed ideas for launching an initiative to help blue-collar workers transition into higher-paying roles. "Imagine how many others are out there, waiting for a chance to shine," Jonathan said enthusiastically. Marcus nodded, his eyes lighting up at the thought. "It's easy to underestimate yourself when society tells you your worth is tied to your job title," he replied. "But if we show people that their skills matter, regardless of where they come from, we can change lives." By the time dessert arrived, they had sketched out the framework for a groundbreaking program. The initiative would offer free education and training in fields traditionally inaccessible to blue-collar workers, focusing on areas like technology, finance, and international relations. Marcus volunteered to be the face of the movement, sharing his story to inspire others. Together, they vowed to create opportunities for those who had been overlooked or dismissed. As months passed, Marcus's influence extended far beyond the company. He traveled globally, speaking at conferences and workshops, encouraging audiences to embrace diversity and recognize untapped potential. His speeches resonated deeply, especially with individuals who had long believed their dreams were out of reach. In interviews, he often recounted his early days as a construction worker, emphasizing that success isn't defined by wealth or titles but by impact. "We all have something valuable to offer," he would say. "Sometimes it just takes someone willing to give us a chance." Back at the office, Marcus continued excelling in his role, earning promotions and accolades, yet he never forgot his roots. Whenever possible, he visited construction sites, sharing meals with old friends and encouraging them to pursue higher aspirations. His humility endeared him even more to those around him, solidifying his status as a beacon of hope. Despite the progress, challenges persisted. Critics accused Jonathan of exploiting Marcus's story for publicity, claiming his motives weren't purely altruistic. Rumors swirled, casting shadows over their achievements. But neither man wavered. In interviews, Jonathan openly addressed accusations, emphasizing that genuine change required bold actions, even if misunderstood initially. Marcus echoed this sentiment, reminding audiences that success shouldn't be measured solely by wealth or titles but by impact. By the end of Part 2, Marcus and Jonathan had transformed not only their own lives, but also the lives of countless others. Their partnership proved that true greatness lies not in where we come from but in what we choose to become. And as they stood side by side, Ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, they knew their journey was far from over. The ripple effects of Marcus Reed's journey began to spread far beyond the walls of Jonathan Hayes's company. What had started as a bold decision to hire a construction worker fluent in 9 languages evolved into a movement that challenged societal norms and redefined success. As Marcus continued thriving in his role, Jonathan's vision for change grew bolder. Together they launched an initiative aimed at uncovering hidden talents in marginalized communities, proving that opportunity should know no boundaries. The Q program, named Pathways to Potential, was announced with great fanfare. It offered free education, mentorship, and training in fields traditionally inaccessible to blue-collar workers. From coding boot camps to leadership workshops, the curriculum was designed to equip participants with skills needed for high-demand industries. Marcus became the face of the initiative, traveling across cities and countries to share his story and inspire others. His speeches resonated deeply, especially among those who had long believed their dreams were out of reach. One such individual was Maria Alvarez, a single mother working as a janitor in a downtown office building. Like Marcus, she possessed a hidden talent. She spoke 5 languages fluently but had never considered it valuable. When she heard about Pathways to Potential through a flyer posted in her workplace, something inside her stirred. She applied hesitantly, unsure if someone like her could truly belong in a corporate setting. To her surprise, she was accepted into the program. Maria's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Through intensive language coaching and business training, she discovered a passion for diplomacy and international relations. Within months, she secured a job translating for diplomats at the United Nations headquarters. For the first time in years, Maria felt seen, not as a janitor but as a multilingual professional capable of making a difference. Her children watched in awe as their mother transformed from a struggling parent into a confident career woman. Then, there was James Carter, a truck driver with a knack for problem-solving. He joined the program after hearing Marcus speak at a local community center. Though initially intimidated by the idea of stepping into a corporate environment, James quickly adapted. During a logistics training session, he impressed instructors with his ability to optimize delivery routes, saving both time and resources. By the end of the program, he was hired as a logistics coordinator for a major shipping company. "I never thought my ideas mattered," James said during a testimonial event. "But this program showed me that I have value." Stories like Maria's and James's poured in from all corners of the country. Thousands applied to join Pathways to Potential, eager to transform their lives. The initiative not only provided them with new opportunities, but also instilled a sense of confidence and purpose. People who had once been overlooked or dismissed found themselves stepping into roles they never imagined possible. Meanwhile, Marcus remained deeply involved in the program, mentoring participants and advocating for systemic change. Despite his growing responsibilities, he made it a point to visit construction sites regularly. Sitting on steel beams during lunch breaks, he shared meals with old friends and encouraged them to dream bigger. "You don't have to stay here forever," he would tell them. "There's a whole world out there waiting for you." His humility and authenticity earned him even more respect, both within the company and beyond. Jonathan, too, played a pivotal role in expanding the initiative. Leveraging his influence as a Millionaire CEO, he partnered with organizations worldwide to scale the program's impact. Schools, nonprofits, and government agencies joined forces, creating a network dedicated to uplifting underserved communities. Together, they hosted job fairs, scholarship drives, and skill-building workshops, ensuring that no one was left behind. Yet challenges persisted. Critics accused Jonathan of using Marcus's story for publicity, claiming his motives weren't purely altruistic. Some argued that Pathways to Potential was merely a PR stunt, while others dismissed it as unrealistic idealism. Rumors swirled, casting shadows over their achievements. But neither Jonathan nor Marcus let these accusations deter them. In interviews, Jonathan addressed the criticism head-on, emphasizing that genuine change required bold actions, even if misunderstood. Initially, "It's easy to sit back and do nothing," Jonathan said during a press conference. But true progress demands taking risks. Yes, we're using Marcus's story because it inspires people. And yes, we want our company to benefit from diverse perspectives. But at its core, this initiative is about giving everyone a fair shot, a chance to rise above circumstances and realize their full potential. Marcus echoed this sentiment, reminding audiences that success shouldn't be measured solely by wealth or titles, but by impact. People ask me why I stayed in construction for so long, he said during a TEDx talk. The truth is, I didn't think anyone would see me as more than a laborer, but Jonathan did. He looked past my hard hat and saw my potential. Now it's our responsibility to do the same for others, to create opportunities where none exist. Their unwavering commitment silenced many skeptics. Graduates of Pathways to Potential began sharing their own stories, amplifying the message of hope and possibility. Social media buzzed with testimonials from individuals whose lives had been transformed. Hashtags like Choose Hidden Talents and Choose Redefining Success trended globally, sparking conversations about inclusivity and social mobility. As the program gained momentum, Marcus and Jonathan faced another challenge: scaling it sustainably. With thousands applying each year, resources were stretched thin. They realized that relying solely on private funding wouldn't be enough. Determined to keep the initiative alive, Jonathan lobbied policymakers to allocate public funds toward similar programs. Meanwhile, Marcus worked tirelessly to recruit volunteers, from retired executives offering mentorship to college students leading tutoring sessions. Their efforts paid off when the government announced a landmark partnership, pledging millions to expand Pathways to Potential nationwide. The news sent shockwaves through the business community, inspiring other companies to follow suit. Soon, rival corporations began launching their own initiatives, recognizing that investing in human potential wasn't just morally right, it was also good for business. By this time, Marcus had become a household name. Magazines featured him on their covers, calling him a symbol of resilience and determination. Schools invited him to speak at graduations, urging students to pursue their passions despite obstacles. Even Hollywood took notice, with producers approaching him about turning his life story into a film. Yet Marcus remained grounded, refusing to let fame distract him from his mission. "I'm still the same guy who used to hammer nails into concrete," he joked during an interview. "The only difference is now I get to help others hammer down barriers holding them back." For Jonathan, seeing Marcus's growth was deeply fulfilling. It validated his belief that true leadership isn't about accumulating power, but about empowering others. Watching graduates of Pathways to Potential step into roles they once thought impossible filled him with pride. He often reflected on how different his life might have been had someone taken a chance on him during his early struggles. Together, Marcus and Jonathan proved that collaboration between seemingly opposite worlds could yield extraordinary results. A millionaire CEO and a former construction worker had bridged divides, not just of class or profession, but of perception and possibility. Their partnership demonstrated that greatness lies not in titles or wealth, but in the courage to challenge norms and uplift others. By the end of Part 3, the seeds planted by Marcus and Jonathan had blossomed into a movement reshaping society's understanding of talent and opportunity. Lives were being transformed daily, and the ripple effects showed no signs of slowing. Yet both men knew their work was far from over. There were still countless untapped potentials waiting to be discovered, countless barriers waiting to be broken. As they stood side by side, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead, they understood that their journey was not just about changing individual lives, it was about changing the world. By the time Part 4 of Marcus Reed and Jonathan Hayes' journey unfolded, their initiative, Pathways to Potential, had grown into a global phenomenon. What had begun as a bold experiment in recognizing hidden talents had transformed into a movement that challenged societal norms, inspired millions, and redefined what success truly meant. Yet with every step forward came new challenges, triumphs, and moments that tested their resolve. The program's reach had expanded exponentially, thanks to government partnerships, corporate sponsorships, and grassroots efforts. Thousands of future participants from diverse backgrounds were now part of Pathways to Potential. each bringing unique skills and stories. From single mothers learning coding to factory workers mastering digital marketing, the initiative proved that opportunity knows no boundaries. But as the program scaled globally, managing its growth became increasingly complex. One of the biggest hurdles was ensuring quality across regions. In some areas, resources were scarce, and local support systems were weak. Critics began pointing fingers again, accusing the program of being inconsistent or overly ambitious. A few high-profile failures, a participant dropping out due to lack of mentorship, another struggling to adapt despite completing training, were seized upon by skeptics who claimed the initiative was setting unrealistic expectations. Jonathan and Marcus knew they couldn't afford missteps. The stakes were too high. To address these concerns, Marcus traveled extensively, visiting regional offices and meeting directly with participants. He wanted to understand their struggles firsthand and find solutions tailored to their needs. During one trip to Brazil, he met Sofia Mendes, a former seamstress turned software developer. Sofia admitted she felt overwhelmed by the fast pace of her new job and feared failing. Instead of dismissing her fears, Marcus spent hours talking to her, sharing his own doubts when he first transitioned from construction to corporate life. "You're not alone," Marcus told her gently. "Every step you take builds confidence. Don't let fear hold you back." Inspired by his words, Sofia persevered, eventually excelling in her role and becoming a mentor to others in the program. Stories like hers reminded Marcus why this work mattered. It wasn't just about teaching skills, but also about fostering resilience and self-belief. Back at headquarters, Jonathan tackled structural issues within the program. He hired experts to streamline operations, ensuring consistent support for all participants regardless of location. Data analysts tracked outcomes meticulously, identifying patterns and refining strategies. For example, they discovered that pairing participants with mentors early on significantly increased retention rates. This insight led to the creation of a robust mentorship network, connecting seasoned professionals with newcomers eager to learn. Despite these improvements, not everyone embraced the initiative wholeheartedly. Some executives within Jonathan's company grumbled about the costs associated with pathways to potential. They argued that funding should be redirected toward profit-driven ventures rather than social programs. Tensions reached a boiling point during a board meeting when Lisa, the same senior manager who had once criticized hiring Marcus, raised the issue publicly. "We're losing focus," Lisa said sharply. "This isn't a charity organization. It's a business. How can we justify spending millions on people who may never contribute to our bottom line?" Her words hung heavy in the air, prompting murmurs of agreement from a few board members. Jonathan listened quietly, his expression calm but resolute. When it was his turn to speak, he stood up slowly, commanding attention. "Lisa raises valid questions," he began, surprising everyone. "But let me ask you this. What is the true purpose of a business? Is it solely to generate profits, or does it have a responsibility to society?" He paused, letting the question sink in before continuing. "Pathways to potential isn't just an expense, it's an investment. Every graduate creates value, whether through innovation, productivity, or simply inspiring others. And yes, some won't succeed immediately. But isn't it worth trying if even one person rises above their circumstances?" His impassioned speech silenced the room. Though not everyone agreed, Jonathan's conviction swayed many doubters. Over time, even Lisa softened her stance, admitting privately that the program's long-term benefits outweighed its short-term costs. Meanwhile, Marcus continued to shine as both a leader and advocate. His speeches resonated deeply, drawing crowds wherever he went. One particularly memorable event took place at a global summit hosted by Jonathan's company. Leaders from various industries gathered to discuss inclusivity, sustainability, and innovation. As Marcus stepped onto the stage to deliver the keynote address, the audience erupted in applause. "Good morning," Marcus began, his voice steady yet warm. "I stand before you today not as someone extraordinary, but as proof that opportunity changes lives. Growing up, I never imagined I'd leave the construction site. Society told me my worth was tied to manual labor. But then someone looked past my hard hat and saw potential. That act of belief changed everything. He paused, scanning the crowd. We live in a world quick to judge based on appearances, but greatness doesn't come from where we start. It comes from what we choose to become. Each of us has untapped talent waiting to be discovered. Our job is to create spaces where those talents can flourish. As he spoke, tears glistened in Jonathan's eyes. Watching Marcus command the stage with such poise and passion filled him with pride. After years of working together, their partnership had blossomed into something far greater than either man could have imagined. When Marcus concluded his speech, the auditorium erupted in thunderous applause. It was clear that his message had struck a chord, not just with the audience, but with humanity itself. The momentum from the summit propelled pathways to potential to new heights. Corporations worldwide adopted similar initiatives, inspired by Marcus and Jonathan's vision. Governments passed legislation supporting workforce development programs, while schools integrated career exploration curriculums aimed at nurturing diverse talents. The ripple effects were undeniable, reshaping industries and communities alike. Yet amidst the accolades and achievements, Marcus remained humble. He often returned to construction sites, reminding himself of his roots. During one visit, he reunited with old friends over lunch. They teased him good-naturedly, calling him Mr. Executive and marveling at how far he'd come. But Marcus laughed it off, insisting he was still the same guy who loved hammering nails and cracking jokes. "You're different now," one friend said earnestly. "You've got power, influence. Don't forget us little guys." Marcus smiled, warmly. "I'll never forget where I came from," he promised, "and neither will Jonathan. We're building bridges, not walls." Indeed, Jonathan stayed deeply committed to the cause, using his platform to amplify marginalized voices. Together, he and Marcus co-authored a book titled Breaking Barriers: Redefining Success Through Opportunity. It chronicled their journey, offering practical advice for individuals and organizations seeking to foster inclusivity. The book became an instant bestseller, further cementing their legacy as pioneers of change. As Part 4 drew to a close, the impact of Marcus and Jonathan's collaboration was undeniable. Lives had been transformed, industries disrupted, and societal norms challenged. Yet they knew their work was far from finished. There were still countless untapped potentials waiting to be discovered, countless barriers waiting to be broken. As they stood side by side, ready to face whatever lay ahead, they understood that their journey was not just about changing individual lives. It was about creating a future where everyone had a fair shot at greatness. And so, the story of a millionaire CEO and a black construction worker fluent in 9 languages continued to inspire generations, a testament to the transformative power of belief, courage, and the unwavering pursuit of purpose. The final chapter of Marcus Reed and Jonathan Hayes' extraordinary journey arrived unexpectedly during a global summit hosted by Jonathan's company. Leaders from across the globe gathered to discuss sustainable development, innovation, and inclusivity. The event was designed to showcase groundbreaking initiatives reshaping industries and uplifting communities. As Marcus prepared to deliver the keynote speech, he felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This wasn't just another presentation. It was an opportunity to inspire millions watching live worldwide. When Marcus stepped onto the stage, the auditorium fell silent. Dressed in a tailored suit that now felt natural, he looked out at the sea of faces before him. From CEOs and policymakers to grassroots activists and students, the audience represented every corner of society. Taking a deep breath, Marcus began his address. "We live in a world quick to judge based on appearances," he said, his voice resonating powerfully throughout the hall. "But true greatness lies not in where we come from, but in what we choose to become." His words struck a chord immediately, drawing nods of agreement from the crowd. He went on to share snippets of his own story, how he had once been dismissed as just a construction worker until someone dared to see beyond his hard hat. "But this isn't about me," Marcus continued. his tone softening yet remaining firm. It's about all of us. It's about creating opportunities for those who are told they don't belong. It's about looking past labels and recognizing potential. He recounted stories of pathways to potential graduates like Maria, the single mother turned UN translator, and James, the truck driver reimagined as a logistics coordinator. Their journeys illustrated how belief and access could transform lives. By the time Marcus concluded his speech with a call to action, urging everyone to champion inclusivity, the room erupted in thunderous applause. Tears glistened in Jonathan's eyes as he watched from the front row. For years he had dreamed of making a meaningful impact. Seeing Marcus command such admiration proved that their efforts were bearing fruit. After the summit, media coverage of Pathways to Potential reached unprecedented levels. News outlets hailed it as a blueprint for systemic change, while social media buzzed with hashtags like hidden potential and opportunity for all. Corporations pledged millions to expand similar programs. Governments introduced policies supporting workforce diversity, and schools revamped curriculums to nurture untapped talents. What had started as a small initiative between two men had ignited a global movement. Yet success brought its own set of challenges. With fame came scrutiny, and critics renewed their attacks. Some accused Jonathan of using Marcus's story for publicity, while others dismissed Pathways to Potential as unsustainable idealism. Rumors swirled, casting shadows over their achievements. But neither man wavered. In interviews, Jonathan openly addressed accusations, emphasizing that genuine change required bold actions, even if misunderstood initially. Criticism is inevitable when you challenge norms, Jonathan said during a televised interview, but our goal isn't perfection, it's progress. If even one person rises above circumstances because of this program, then every effort is worth it. Marcus echoed this sentiment, reminding audiences that success shouldn't be measured solely by wealth or titles, but by impact. People ask me why I stayed in construction for so long, he explained during a panel discussion. The truth is, I didn't think anyone would see me as more than a laborer, but Jonathan did. He looked past my hard hat and saw my potential. Now, it's our responsibility to do the same for others, to create opportunities where none exist. Their unwavering commitment silenced many skeptics. Graduates of Pathways to Potential shared their stories, amplifying the message of hope and possibility. Social media platforms overflowed with testimonials from individuals whose lives had been transformed. One viral video featured a former factory worker describing how the program helped her secure a job in renewable energy, a field she never imagined entering. Another showed a young immigrant thanking Marcus personally for inspiring him to pursue engineering, despite language barriers. As the movement gained momentum, Marcus and Jonathan faced another challenge: ensuring sustainability. With thousands applying annually, resources were stretched thin. Determined to keep the initiative alive, Jonathan lobbied policymakers to allocate public funds towards similar programs. Meanwhile, Marcus worked tirelessly to recruit volunteers, from retired executives offering mentorship to college students leading tutoring sessions. Their combined efforts paid off when the government announced a landmark partnership, pledging millions to expand Pathways to Potential nationwide. The news sent shockwaves through the business community, inspiring other companies to follow suit. Rival corporations launched their own initiatives, recognizing that investing in human potential wasn't just morally right, it was also good for business. Even Hollywood took notice, with producers approaching Marcus about turning his life story into a film. Yet Marcus remained grounded, refusing to let fame distract him from his mission. "I'm still the same guy who used to hammer nails into concrete," he joked during an interview. "The only difference is now I get to help others hammer down barriers holding them back." For Jonathan, seeing Marcus's growth was deeply fulfilling. It validated his belief that true leadership isn't about accumulating power, but about empowering others. Watching graduates step into roles they once thought impossible filled him with pride. He often reflected on how different his life might have been had someone taken a chance on him during his early struggles. Together, Marcus and Jonathan proved that collaboration between seemingly opposite worlds could yield extraordinary results. A millionaire CEO and a former construction worker had bridged divides, not just of class or profession, but of perception and possibility. Their partnership demonstrated that greatness lies not in titles or wealth, but in the courage to challenge norms and uplift others. By the end of Part 5, the seeds planted by Marcus and Jonathan had blossomed into a movement reshaping society's understanding of talent and opportunity. Lives were being transformed daily, and the ripple effects showed no signs of slowing. Yet both men knew their work was far from over. There were still countless untapped potentials waiting to be discovered, countless barriers waiting to be broken. They stood side by side, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. They understood that their journey was not just about changing individual lives, it was about changing the world. They had ignited a spark that would continue burning brightly, inspiring future generations to dream bigger and aim higher. And though challenges would inevitably arise, they faced them with unshakable resolve, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. In the end, the tale of Marcus Reed and Jonathan Hayes became legend, a testament to the transformative power of belief, courage, and the unwavering pursuit of purpose. Their legacy served as a reminder that opportunity knows no boundaries and greatness can emerge from the most unexpected places.